I'm Ann Simmons in the newsroom of the Los Angeles Times. The trial of Oscar Pistorius, a South African double amputee Olympian who shot his girlfriend to death last year, is moving into its final phase. Testimony has been both compelling and disturbing, punctuated by displays of Pistorius' seeming distress. The prosecution argues that the athlete, nicknamed the Blade Runner, killed Reeva Steenkamp in a fit of rage, but Pistorius contends that he mistook his girlfriend for an intruder and has pleaded not guilty to murder. The Times' Johannesburg bureau chief, Robyn Dixon, is here to give us an update on the trial. Hello, Robyn.
Hi, Anne.
So, Robyn, the trial resumed just a week ago. Just bring us up to date on what has now taken place.
Well, Anne, in these final phase of the evidence of the trial, we've really been homing in on some of those crucial questions. What was Pistorius' state of mind at the time of the killing? Were the actions of a reasonable man? And today we had what appears may be the final witness, a sports expert doctor who specializes in sports and exercise, and the defense advocate Barry Rue has indicated this may be the last witness.
So that's the defense. Is the prosecution likely to reopen the case?
It's not clear at this time, but it seems that they would only reopen if the defense calls their psychiatrist. And it's a bit of a case of you show me your psychiatrist, I'll show you mine.
Now, I understand you bring up the psychiatrist question, that Pistorius actually underwent some psychological testing and also a psychiatric assessment. What did we learn from that, Robyn?
Well, the key thing that we learned from those reports, Anne, was that at the time of the killing, Pistorius was not suffering from a psychiatric or mental disorder that would have impacted his knowledge of right and wrong on the night of the killing. The psychological report gave some other information about how he is now. He's potentially suicidal, highly depressed, and he's suffering post-traumatic stress.
Now, has has his demeanour changed in court? You're talking about psychological distress. In the past, during past proceedings, we've even seen him retching and crying. What has his demeanour been like?
Certainly he's been calmer in this final phase, and earlier he was highly emotional at times, particularly under cross-examination by the prosecutor, Harry Nell. We heard him howling with pain or anguish as Nell confronted him about the killing of Steenkamp and asked him to take responsibility. Harry Nell has alleged that the reason for some of that emotion was that Pistorius was rather a poor witness, and when he was in a corner, he would show emotion.
And how crucial is Pistorius' state of mind to this case? I mean, to the kind of testimony that we've heard. What kind of role is that likely to play?
And the state of mind in this particular trial is absolutely at the heart of the case. Did he intend to kill Reeva Steenkamp? Was he in a state of rage? Was he really in fear of his life? Was he feeling very, very vulnerable, anxious? Was he more anxious than an ordinary person would have been in those circumstances, more vulnerable, less able to run away? Did he foresee that by shooting 4 expanding bullets designed to cause maximum tissue damage, that whoever was in there, whether an intruder or Reeva Steenkamp, whoever was in there would have been killed? All these are key questions that the judge has to weigh up and decide.
And if he is convicted of this crime, Robyn, what kind of penalty does Pistorius face, and what does he face if he's not convicted of premeditated murder?
If he's convicted of murder, he is going to face life imprisonment, which in South Africa is basically 25 years once parole takes effect. If he's convicted of culpable homicide, which is not intentional killing but negligent killing, then the sentence has to be weighed up by the judge according to how reckless the action was. If he's acquitted, I think, and his life all the same will never be quite the same as it was before. I think people's opinions have been influenced quite deeply by the trial, and I think that he will never go back to the life that he had before.
And just to wrap up, Robyn, where do we go from here? When are we likely to see closing arguments?
Well, after the final witness, which may be tomorrow, if the defence doesn't call another witness, after the defence closes its case, there'll be a delay of about 2 weeks or 4 weeks while the two sides are given a chance to write a very detailed summaries of their cases. And then they come back to court for a couple of days each to present their heads of argument. After that, the court will again break, and that will be when the judge weighs up all the evidence, thousands of pages of evidence, to reach the finding of this case.
Well, thank you so much for your insight, Robyn. We'll certainly be following very closely. This has been a fascinating case.
It has indeed. Thank you, Anne.
For more on this story and others, please visit latimes.com and follow us on Twitter @LATimes.